this time that we've had together. And I pray for all of us in the rest of the day that you would just continue to be in this school and that this presence that you're bringing would just get so much stronger. Um, and I pray that the words I'm going to share would just, you'd be in them and that they wouldn't be from me, but they'd really come from you. Amen. All right, so I kind of just want to share partly what I felt from retreat, and then thank you. And then partly kind of some of the things I feel like the Lord's been saying to me in my Bible meditations and the things that I guess I've been reading and hearing from him. So I feel like a lot recently the Lord's been asking me to step out in faith in my worship, just in simple ways like raising my hands or coming to the front or just making sure I'm really focused on him during those times. But I really felt like this came really strongly for me at retreat. I shared a little bit, and I don't know if you saw me when I was at retreat, but basically at the end I was just on the floor on my knees, and I was just weeping, and it was not a very pretty thing to see. And I was just, tears were coming, and my nose was running. It was really gross, honestly. But I felt like I was really tuning in on his face. And I feel like a lot of the time I'm a lot more reserved in my worship. And even just like if we're praying out loud as a group, I won't say the words out loud because I don't want anyone to hear me because I'm nervous or just things like that. But at retreat, I really felt called to just have faith and to just go all in my worship and that he was going to meet me there. And I felt like when I got to that point, I was really able to focus on him, and the desires of my heart and the things that I truly was feeling were just really open and able to be recognized by me. And I was able to talk about them with Jesus, and I got to see the fruit of taking that step out. And we're reading a book in our Bible class called Sacred Rhythms. And in the last chapter that we read, it talked about how Jesus would ask people questions to really get through all of their performance and the way that they're presenting themselves and really just get to the desires of their heart. And then they were able to receive true and complete healing. And I felt a little bit like I was able to do that because I felt like I was cutting through to the real desires that were in my heart, and I was able to be really vulnerable and connected to God in that place. And one of the Bible meditations that I got last week that was the day after retreat that I felt was really relevant was Luke 5:5-6. And in this story, I'm sure you've heard it, is Simon's out fishing, and he hadn't caught anything all night, and Jesus came and he asked him to put his net on the other side of the boat. And Simon, the verse says, Simon answered, Master, we toiled all night and took nothing, but at your word I will let down the nets. And when they had done this, they enclosed a large number of fish, and their nets were breaking. And I guess what really struck me about this when I was rereading it this time was that Simon was an expert in fishing. He had been doing these things all night, and he had done the things he was supposed to do. He had put the nets out, and he had waited, and all these things. But Jesus came, and he told him to do something that seemed really silly and pointless because Simon knew what he was doing, and he did everything right. And it looked like it would make no difference to put his net on the other side of the boat. But Simon had faith in Jesus, and he obeyed him. And when he did that, he was able to unlock the full and real fullness. In that case, it was fish. But just what it means is he stepped out even when it didn't make sense, and he was able to unlock so much more than he could have imagined. And I think what I really got from this was that we can stand here and we can do all the right things. We can sing and come to the front, and we can look engaged, and we can even really mean it. And sometimes Jesus comes and he asks us for something a little bit more. And it may not make a lot of sense. Kneeling and raising your hands doesn't get you any closer to Jesus. And kneeling on your face and weeping doesn't accomplish anything on its own. But when we do it out of faith of Jesus, and when we do it knowing that he wants to draw close to us and he knows our heart, then sometimes we get to unlock something crazy and amazingly beautiful. And I just know that I don't want to miss any opportunities, and I don't want to miss the things that is asked of me because it seems insignificant or random, like putting your net on the other side of the boat. And what I kept asking myself at retreat, or what I kept saying to myself was, I don't want to miss this. I don't want to miss how Jesus is moving, and I don't want to miss what he's asking of me, and I don't want to miss what he's doing in this school. So I guess I just want to encourage you to break off everything that you think that you know about worship, and make sure that when you're worshiping, that your heart is really willing to follow his presence that's moving, even in every little way, even when it seems insignificant. Because when we create a culture of obedience and faith in our school, that's when we can continue to let go of the fear of man that we keep talking about and worship in freedom together. And sometimes we can unlock something really crazy and beautiful. So that's all. I just wanted to share that because that feels really relevant to me, and it kind of feels relevant to our school as we keep talking about breaking off things and breaking off fear of man and going hard in worship. So just to encourage you that even the small and insignificant things, sometimes Jesus is really wanting to do something there, and you just have to obey him and have some faith. So that's all. So does anyone have announcements?